Hey guys, Matt with another JaYoe conversation. I'm taking a little walk at a big granary, like an old big granary.
That's kind of funny because you say granary, we say granary.
Well, that's because I'm right and you're wrong. Is pretty much.
That's British.
That's the American in me.
American.
Hoorah! Anyways, we're on a bit of a touristy trip. We were invited over to Xi'an and Shanxi, and we're exploring the areas. And I was thinking about what Asian people find interesting and what Westerners find interesting.
Very different.
Very different. Like the enthusiasm for them to introduce an old granary to us exceeds the amount of enthusiasm I think you'd see in America. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'm wrong, but I've been to a lot. I went to a brewery.
Uh-huh.
You know, like I was in Kentucky and I went to, the Jim Beam Brewery.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool.
Man. I'd love to do that.
But that was like the act of distilling, and it was like all of these things going on. But China's got this history that goes back so far. They've got this secondary where it's like, we're not going to show you how the alcohol was made, but we'll show you how they used to do it 2,000 years ago. Because the building still exists, and my family's lineage or whatever, there's all these ties to the past that you don't really have in the West. I mean, what about the UK? You've got a lot of old stuff in the UK.
We have. I mean, the big thing about the UK history is castles and palaces and stuff like that. And that's my sort of thing. I love architectural history. I struggle to get on with sort of artifacts history. But yeah, I mean, we do push from a tourist point of view our history big. Come to England, come to Warwick Castle, visit Buckingham Palace, visit Windsor Castle. They're big things, and I guess that's because we are also quite an old civilization. Yeah. Whereas I guess that's a bit of a different thing for you Americans, because compared to China and the UK, you're relatively young. Yeah. Yeah. So you don't kind of have that history like we do, I guess. Do you see it as different in China than the UK? How would you compare? How would you compare it to the? Is there differences more than similarities? Yeah, I think they're way more into the history here, and they're very, very proud of that. Even the younger people here. Whereas my feeling in the UK is it's a much smaller amount of people who are into that history. Interesting. So do you think that culture is being lost? I do. A bit. And it's like absolutely. Here it's not. Like we just saw a puppet show on the inside, and those people doing those, it was a very, very beautiful, intricate puppet show. And those people were pretty young. Yeah. And they've been doing that puppetry for 10 years. Yeah, we're losing or we've lost a lot. Even like this morning we were at sort of a place where they were showing traditional crafts, and there's people still doing it. Yeah. You go to the UK, a lot of those crafts are not passed on. Yeah. We have issues where we can't restore buildings because we can't find the craftspeople to do the skills that are needed because it's been lost. Well, the argument to that would be, well, we do it better now. Technology is better now. But some things you can't do with technology. Something, you can't carve rocks with technology but I do think there's a huge difference here. They're very, very proud of their history. Yeah. And their culture here. Yeah. And they do sort of preserve that. They spend a lot of effort to try and preserve that here, whereas I don't get that as much in the West. Yeah, it's a bit more. Although, the United States has the excuse that we're fairly a new... Yeah. I mean, we're a new society. We don't have that much. Obviously, the Native Americans, but we sure did a pretty good job of wiping them out. I'm not saying that as a obviously it's been a horrible thing, and but that was a bit the same with the Australians and the Aborigines. Sort of trample on the old and then build the new. And I hear people say, oh, everything here was destroyed during Mao's I made a video about that revolution, but that's just not true. This wasn't destroyed. There's huge amounts of ancient history and culture here that didn't get destroyed. I made that video and somebody brought up an interesting point. They're like, culture is more than just buildings, and that the culture in China is in people. Culture is the people, Yeah, absolutely. And that's very hard to destroy. Yeah, that's embedded in your DNA. For sure. So I mean, the amount of history you have here. So what do you think of, like,
I'm just curious about comparing the way that China celebrates its culture and the way that the societies outside of Asia celebrate their culture, you know, and there's just an embracement here. There
is, but what I worry, like in the West, if you look at in England, the traditional sort of celebrations of culture, Easter and Harvest Festival and Christmas, and I think the sad thing is over the years they've turned into much more commercial exercises. I see that too a little bit.
The traditions are getting muddled.
Here, So like, there's a lot of traditions that would happen here that are getting less and less, and I think that's a shame.
Yeah.
Although I think it's happening slower here. I mean, you know, you look at Christmas in England now; it's just a big shop fest.
Yeah, it's consumerism.
And the actual point of Christmas is kind of that little bit. Just there, you know, it's almost gone now.
A little bit of religion, a little bit of togetherness, but a lot of gifts.
Don't get me started on religion. That's not a good topic.
Okay. Well, I mean, we are at this granary, and there's two groups of school kids up on the wall over there, and they're being brought here, and they're being indoctrinated and taught about all of this old culture, and so. Even over here, there's a group of guys that are teaching kids how to separate rice and measure things.
All about weights and measures, which is a great way to
very,
learn.
very cool. It's like a field trip, you know. You took field trips in UK, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
We did.
But I don't know. I just think that I think there is a difference. So do you think that fast forward 100 years in China, you think a lot of this stuff is going to be gone? Or do you think?
Sadly, I think it is. I think there'll be less because I see the younger generations in China are becoming much more materialistic.
Yeah.
A little like the West. I personally think Western developed countries have got way too materialistic.
Do you think Chinese are more materialistic in some ways?
The wealthy Chinese, definitely.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this is getting into a different.
That's subject, a different topic, but
money's new to them. Here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's new within the last 20-25 years to a lot of Chinese. So they like to show that off, you know.
And
that's a different video.
And the high-end population centers are kind of tight. Outside of those areas, you can go into very rural, very, very like backwater areas of China where this kind of lifestyle is still normal. You know what I mean? And I guess that's a big difference too, because in Europe it's pretty ubiquitous that life has kind of risen up to a new level.
We don't have these kind of villages where people are living a simple life.
You'll meet somebody in Shenzhen and they'll say, "Yeah, my grandma lives just like that."
Yeah.
You know, just like that old style.
Yeah.
And I guess that would be a big thing, because as grandma starts to elevate up, then you're going to start losing some of those things.
There's places here where the Chinese have built new modern apartments and tried to get these poor villages to move into. Now these poor villages,
poverty eradication.
They're living without electricity, but they don't want to move. Because they've lived that way of life for 70 years. They don't want to be dealing with all newfangled things.
Yeah.
You know, so it's.
One more thing about the culture, right? So there's buildings, and then there's like granary and societal things, but there's also music. You know, that's another thing. Like in Europe, like what did people play in the Middle Ages? It was the harpsichord and like all these kind of weird instruments that you don't see anymore. It's the guitar, the piano, violin. You know,
electronic music.
But in China, I think in 100 years, you will still see people playing erhu and the pipa and all of these things. So you will still have a lot of that. It'll just be woven into the new society, you know, maybe more than maybe in the West. So, okay, that's a good ending, right?
It is, yeah.
So, as a matter of fact, we'll just say hi to the artists here. These are very, very young. 你好，你好，你多大？
我15岁。
15岁 15 years old.
Wow.
你多大？
我16。
16岁 And you play 这是什么？
这是
这个茄子，我很喜欢吃茄子。茄子。Oh, okay, cool. Not 茄子。茄子 is eggplant. I like eggplant. Wow, JaYoe. JaYoe. Yeah. And these guys are young, and they're doing all sorts. They're doing the old instruments, you
And
know.
actually,
So that's the way to keep
they're
culture.
enthusiastic about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's
Do you think that enthusiasm was because their parents pushed them so hard?
probably.
You know what I mean? Like
I think some of it,
their parents
maybe
must have pushed them really hard to practice.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes that push helps you move into a place where you're happy.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, good.
Anyways, take it easy, guys. JaYoe, if you want to, no, not if you want
As
to,
always.
go to his channel now and shout out from the JaYoe Nation. As always,
Take care.
and JaYoe. Bye.